This episode of Cape Ann Today is brought to you by J&L Welding.
I am speaking with Lisa Bonneville, who has started a wonderful nonprofit with a simple but impactful mission to create benches for pausing, visiting, and maybe just looking around throughout the town of Manchester by the Sea. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining me.
Hi. Thank you, Heather. It's wonderful to be here.
So tell us where the idea for the longevity benches began.
Okay, I do want to start by saying that I'm representing a little board of directors and all of 300 sponsors and donors who have made this bench project even possible. So it started with I'm an interior designer, and I've been in business on Cape Ann for over 40 years. And a few years back, I developed a learning program for interior designers for the American Society of Interior Designers. And in that, I was explaining to designers how important it is while designing homes for people to age in and feel comfortable and safe in, how important it is for people to come out of their homes and create that in their neighborhoods and their communities as well. So in thinking about that, that's really what the inspiration was for creating the Longevity Bench Project. And doing that, I decided to design and order a bench and put it sort of a prototype in front of my own office. And that was very helpful in helping me explain the project to the people who I needed to support the project before I began and set out into the community to say, we're going to put this bench project together. And so it worked out really well. I met with the Board of Selectmen and the committees and boards in town, and it just spiraled upward from there. It's been very, very exciting and rewarding for us.
So I love that idea, that the very simple idea of wanting to get people outside, and a bench represented the opportunity to be comfortably outside, right? Or outside in a very civilized way.
Yes, exactly. And, walking is a very healthy, probably the most healthy exercise we can all engage in throughout our life. And what's unique about this project is that it places benches throughout the neighborhoods. Most of the benches in town are downtown or at the beach, in the parks. And this was specifically to help people who may not even be able to drive anymore to just walk out their own door into the neighborhood and know that there's a bench within a half mile. The goal of the project is to place a bench every half mile along the popular walking loops that we established at the beginning of the project. And they're all on a map on our website, so people can look that up. But you're absolutely right. It's really important to be in nature. That's another must as we age, as well as we live. It's important for human beings to be out in nature. And so this is a wonderful way to do it. You can sit on a bench, see your neighbors, socialize with people. They're long enough. They're 6 feet long. So if somebody wants to share the bench with you, that's doable too. So they've been very well received here in Manchester.
Well, I just have to add my one more editorial note that I just think it's so wonderful in this age of, exercise and getting outside, but getting outside in a super active way. People are, as you say, creating these walking paths and bike trails, but you're actually creating a place to be out there in a more contemplative way. And it feels so very civilized. That's what I really want to say.
Well, we've taken wonderful photos of people who are actually enjoying the benches. There have been people who I know are sitting there with their grandchildren reading a book, and people who stop and adjust, maybe their boots or something. They're walking their dogs. We had outside in my office, my husband one day pulled into the driveway, and here's a man sleeping on the bench. And he went up and asked him if he was all right. And he said, "Oh, yes, I just walked to Gloucester and I'm just coming back and I needed to take a rest." And he said, "Perfect, that's just what these benches are for." So we're seeing all kinds of different uses for these benches, and they're really heartwarming to see.
Yeah. Well, as we can see the bench behind you, it's very sturdy and it's really a very capable bench, I would say. I think they probably are not inexpensive to put together. Do you want to talk to us about, people donating benches and sponsorship and how that works?
Sure. Love to talk about that. So there's a little process involved, and it starts with somebody wanting to donate a bench, contacting us. It could be a person, it could be a group of people. We've had as many as 40 people donate one bench. And so we talk about where they might like to put their bench. We look at the locations where we would like to put a bench in order to achieve our goal of every half mile. And we come to a place where we have established a location. It might involve a property owner. Some of these benches are located on town land. And that's wonderful because we have such support in this town from the people who need to approve those. We then meet with at the site with a representative from the department, the DPW, and our excavator, and sponsor, which is Jeffries Creek Land Contractors. So we gather together and we discuss how to put that bench in place. There might be a setback that's required by the DPW for snow plowing, snowbank clearing, things like that. They don't want to obviously plow any benches out of existence. So we make that plan and we move ahead. The benches now, because of the supply chain issues, are taking longer than they were in the first 2 years of bench ordering. But during that time, the excavation can happen, and all the benches, as you can see in the photo behind me, are placed bolted, in fact, to a very sturdy 6 foot by 12 foot concrete slab. They're 6 inches thick. They're not going to go anywhere. They're made out of aluminum, powder coated black, beautiful, stately looking bench. I went around before the 4th of July and put these flags on all of the benches. I need to go remove some because some of them still have their flags on. But the purpose of the length, the 12 feet, is to give space beside the bench for bicycles, strollers, wheelchairs, walkers, dogs, visitors, to get people out of the path of travel. That's the goal, and it's 5 feet because that is the turning radius for a wheelchair. And that makes this ADA compliant. I get lots of questions from people. Why didn't you center that bench down there? It's not centered. Do you realize that? I said, yes, there's a reason for that. So that's the reason.
Yeah. So you have specific goals of a certain number of benches in town, right?
Yes, we do. The goal at the start was to place 30 benches, which would represent every half mile along the popular walking routes. And we have, as of the end of this past year, achieved 20 benches. We have 20 benches in place already. We only launched this project in 2018. And as I said, it's out of the generosity and support of the community itself. Residents and companies, some companies have also donated benches. We have some wonderful milestone benches. We have a bench that was installed in 2019 for Manchester's 375th anniversary celebration. We thought, since this is the time we are creating this project, it's only appropriate that we honor the 375th anniversary of our town with a bench. And over 30 people donated to place that bench on that pad. And that was exciting. We had a gathering and we had politicians there, and some of those pictures are on our website to commemorate we were unfortunate because we had COVID in the middle of our celebration here in Manchester. So this was a great way to space people every 6 feet and take a macro photo. So it was great. But yes, we're working now to finish our goal, which would be about 10 to 12 more benches. Some benches are closer together than every half mile, but that's okay because people called and said, "Can I put a bench closer than a half a mile on my front yard?" I said, "Yes, you sure can." So that's why we have more benches than 30, and we will in the end too. So we are inspired by the generosity and the support we've gotten in this town. It'll be a big celebration when we finish all the locations that we've plotted.
All right, so 10 to 12 to go. Where is the spot that you would most like to see a bench of those 10 to 12?
Well, we have hopes for a couple locations on town land coming up that we're working on. Most like to see. Well, gee whiz, difficult places, I guess, places that are more difficult than others. A lot of people chose places where they walked themselves, and that made the what we call the heater here in Manchester very popular, and that's well populated with benches now. But maybe a bench on the outskirts of on one of the longer loops. Maybe if you are someone who runs or walks to Gloucester, somewhere along Summer Street on the way to Gloucester might be a wonderful place to put a bench. We also depend on the walkability of our sidewalks, and in every community in New England, really, these antique towns have a lot of infrastructure issues with keeping up their sidewalks. So that is another part of what we're hoping to help with. Because the whole goal focuses on creating a walkable town and the encouragement of exercise and walking. So those two go hand in hand as well. So I would say somewhere along Summer Street on the way to Gloucester would be a wonderful donation moving forward.
Yeah, I can see all those weekend bikers pausing on that bench and drinking their water and looking around and moving on to Gloucester, right?
That's right. Adjusting something where they don't want to be in the way of traffic or stopping someone else who's walking by.
Or having their
Exactly.
lunch. They're all kinds of things. Yeah.
Yes. I've seen people eating many uses. It's really been inspiring. We had one group of people that donated a bench in honor of Carol Shanley, who was a woman here in town who for over 40 years had an exercise class. So it was only appropriate that her family and people who attended her class actually donated a bench in her honor, and it was put on the property of the Boy Scout house here in Manchester. The Boy Scouts agreed to have the bench placed on their property because I guess all three sons that she had were good Boy Scouts in town. And so every bench has a story all of its own, and they're all really wonderful stories. We're working on sharing some of those stories on our website. So they add to the.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say they add to the meaning of every bench.
Well, about the website, if people want to learn more, if they want to see the map of where the benches are, or if they want to think about sponsoring a bench, where do they go?
Go to www.longevitybenchproject.org. And there's ways on there. There's a contact tab, and they can contact us. And they can see the definition of a longevity bench and what makes it unique among benches. And they can see our map of all the loops, the walking loops through town that we're trying to populate with benches. And they can clearly see where we want to put additional benches and where benches are currently located. So we name the benches by the name of the person who is honored or who has donated the bench. So it's a very easy to navigate website. It introduces our little board of directors and also shares some quotes we've received from supportive people.
Great. Well, thank you so much for creating this project and coming with me to talk about it. I really enjoyed it. And, as a bench fan from way back, I just applaud everything you're doing. It's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here on your presentation, and it's been an honor for us. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.